Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So today we're going to be continuing on with our series. The last couple of days we've been going over the stories of the prophets. Today, inshallah, we're going to be going over the story of Prophet Lut. I know this is a sensitive topic, but it's one that we need to really go over and discuss as a community, as it's super prevalent in our society today. So for anyone that's a little misinformed or doesn't know, Prophet Lut alayhi salam, he was the nephew of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. When Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam was thrown into the hellfire, astaghfirullah, when he was thrown into the fire and he managed to get out of the fire unscathed, unharmed, Prophet Lut was amongst the crowd and was able to watch his uncle escape the fire, accepted Islam right away. He then traveled with Prophet Ibrahim. He went to Palestine with him. She spent the rest of his days with him, learning Islam, spreading Islam. There came a time when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Prophet Lut to go to these 5 cities. The 5 cities, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to them as, Al-Muttafiqat, the overturned cities. We'll discuss as to why he refers to them as that later, but these people in these cities, they were very notorious for their sinning. Their most obvious sin was their sin of homosexuality. In today's society, we're presented with this sin as commonly as it was back then. The problem with the people of the city of Sodom, or Sodom as we would say in English, is that they were openly homosexual. It was not 1 or 2 individuals who were practicing this act on the side. They were proud of it. Astaghfirullah, they were proud of their homosexuality. Lut alayhi salam, when he approached these people, he told them to fear Allah. He told them that the natural laws made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not allow homosexuality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran states that He has made us in pairs, and those pairs are man and woman. We are made in man and in a woman. We are not made from man and man. I'd like to reiterate, man and a woman. The natural laws that are decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly indicate the way to reproduce, the ways we should go about our biological needs. So, sorry, I just gotta look over my notes. I write really small. Lut alayhi salam, for many years, he would preach this to the people of Sodom. He would preach that homosexuality was wrong, that they should look to fear Allah, look to return back to the natural laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Instead, they refused. They openly mocked Lut alayhi salam. They would say to him, leave our city for you are too pure. They would make up rumors about Lut alayhi salam regarding his daughters. They would say things that are outlandish about Lut alayhi salam. Lut alayhi salam, of course, being a prophet of Allah, he has to endure this torment. He understands that his job is not an easy one, that he's going to have to sit there and be persistent. Even if nobody listens to him, he has to be there because Allah has decreed for him to be there. One day, however, Lut alayhi salam was of course preaching again to the people, and the people, they ridiculed him in a way. They asked him to bring forth the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They did not believe that Lut alayhi salam and his God was real. They asked him to bring forth the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Lut alayhi salam, he made a dua. He asked Allah, protect him, protect his family from the actions of these people. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that 3 angels come down that night and speak to Lut regarding the punishment of these people. On the way down, these angels, they stopped by Prophet Ibrahim in Palestine. They spoke to him. Prophet Ibrahim invited him in. They had a conversation. Prophet Ibrahim asked the angels what they were here to do. The angels tell the Prophet, we're here to deal with the people of Lut. Prophet Ibrahim, being the generous man that he is, being the friend of Allah that he is, he pleads with these angels and demands them and asks them, please forgive the people of Lut. He understands that the people of Lut are still super wrong, their sins are grave, but still he asks for their forgiveness. But these angels, they've already said, we've been sent down by Allah. 3 angels. It's reported that one of them was Angel Jibreel. These angels then go over to Sodom, to Prophet Lut. They're discovered by Prophet Lut's daughter. Prophet Lut's daughter recognizes that these men are very handsome. The people of Sodom, like I said, are ruthless. Anytime they see someone, they're openly engaging in homosexual acts, they're catcalling, they're groping. These people rob, steal, murder travelers. They're not ashamed of the sins that they commit. So these angels, they come in, and the wife of Prophet Lut alayhi salam, she was a resident of these cities. She's from these cities, so she has a loyalty to her city, her people. She's accustomed to their way of life. She informs everybody else that I have 3 beautiful visitors in my house. Please come and see them and do with them what you please. They all, the people of Sodom, they gather around Lut alayhi salam's house, and they start knocking on the windows. They start knocking on the doors. They're trying to get in. They see these beautiful men. They want them. Astaghfirullah, they want them. These are the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're being pursued in such a manner. Lut alayhi salam, he's ashamed. He's asking, he's begging, he's pleading these people, please, these are my guests. Do not insult me in such a way. But no, they do not stop. They're shameless. These people, they're on the brink of entering into the house. When the angels, they look at Lut, Lut makes a dua, I wish I had the power to stand up against them. Essentially, he says, I wish I had the power to stand up against these people. These angels, at that moment, they reveal to Lut that we are indeed angels from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are here to help you. These people will not harm you and your family. We are here to deal with them. Allah has answered your prayer. The angels command Lut alayhi salam to take his daughters and to leave in the middle of the night. He tells them, leave, don't look back. Their time has come. Judgment has passed. There's nothing you could do to change it. Lut alayhi salam asks him, when is this judgment coming? The angels reply, in the morning. It is nighttime. There is no time left. Lut alayhi salam, in the middle of the night, he gets up, takes his daughters, and he leaves. It is reported that since the wife of Prophet Lut was the one who essentially informed the villagers that Allah had commanded her, or commanded the angels to tell Lut to leave her behind, another report says that she left with Prophet Lut, and that while she was leaving, she turned around. In the morning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He sent 3 punishments to these people. First was a loud noise, similar to the one that we hear in the story of Prophet Saleh, a loud noise that deafens the people. The second thing we see is reported that the angel Jibreel, he goes back into his true form. And if anyone is unaware of his true form, it is said that he has many hundreds of wings. One of his wings covers the horizon. When you look up into the sky, Angel Jibreel's one wing will cover the entire sky. It is said that with this one wing, he lifts the city through the decree of Allah, of course. Allah has commanded him, so he will do such. He has flipped the city upside down. The highest point of this city is now the lowest. The lowest point of this city is now the highest. After he has flipped the cities completely over, there is hot rocks raining down on them. It is said that each one of these rocks has the name of the people of the city on them. Each rock is destined for one person. This is the ultimate punishment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroys them 3 times just to get this point across. These are people that actively defied Allah. Actively defied Allah. Now the point I want you guys to take from this story is that homosexuality is a grave sin. Unfortunately, right now in this current state, in this country, in this society, our kids, myself, yourself, have seen it everywhere on the news. Every company in the month of June, every school has integrated it into their curriculum. We need to understand our values as Muslims, our Sharia, what we believe as Muslims. In this country, there's not much we can do. They have their rights, we have our rights. As much as it is their right to believe in such a thing, it is our right to disbelieve in such a thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not allowed this to happen in our Islam. Even if you look at the people of the book, if you look at the Jews, if you look at the Christians, anybody that studies their religion will wholeheartedly tell you that homosexuality is not allowed. So please, be aware of what your kids are watching on TV. Be aware of what they're teaching your kids in school. It is everywhere. It's a plague. You have to understand, you have to teach your kids. I know it's sensitive and you might think your kids are young, but I promise you, at school, they're teaching these kids at age 5, age 6, 7, and 8 what homosexuality is, that it's normal, that it's allowed, it's encouraged. Not just homosexuality, but the entire LGBTQ range of activities is being promoted to these young kids. The month of June, you walk outside, there's rainbows everywhere. These kids are attracted to bright colors. They understand what they're doing. They know that these kids are going to watch the first thing on their iPad, on their YouTube, with rainbow colors. It's drawing their attention. So please, understand that we are living in difficult times. One other point that I would like to make is that homosexuality is a grave sin, but we need to learn to hate the sin and not the sinner. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives double the reward to someone who has desires and does not act upon those desires. In our community, in our lives, we may encounter people who have such desires, but we need to treat them as humans. They may have these desires, but that does not make them any less Muslim. If they act upon these desires, then they need to repent. They need to turn to Allah. That is between them and God. We cannot reject someone who still believes in Allah, even if they have these desires. If they act upon these desires, then it's a different conversation, and it's a grave sin. There's grave consequences in this dunya and in the akhirah. However, I just wanted to clarify one last thing, that another propaganda that I've seen, especially coming from myself as a student at Stony Brook, I've seen it in high schools, I've seen it in other colleges, is nowadays there's a lot of Muslims who will try to justify the cause of the LGBT. They'll say that it's not that big of a deal, that it's not explicitly stated in the Quran. They'll change the words of the Quran. This is totally forbidden. Once you change the words of the Quran, once you change the teachings of Islam, then you have taken yourself out of the fold of Islam. You cannot do this. Then we are no different than the Christians and the Jews who rewrite their books. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us that He will preserve the Quran. We have to do our part in teaching it the way that it's supposed to be taught. Please, once again, watch what your kids are watching. Read what your kids are reading. We will never know. A lot of the times, your kids cry, you give them an iPhone, you give them an iPad, you put on YouTube, but you don't know what they're watching. You have to be very careful because there's subliminal messages behind these videos. Please be aware. Please learn what your kids are learning in school. They're actively pushing this upon kids. With that being said, the best environment you could put your kids in, Masjid Darul Quran Academy. No teacher is going to push that propaganda on your kids, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. Thank you for listening. Inshallah, we'll see you guys out.